Today I'm going to show you how to make an 8-inch finished block called Pinwheel Star. And if you'd like to know how to use this block in a quilt, please watch to the end of this video where I've got some illustrations to show you how to use it. When I start making the blocks, I always begin by designing them in my quilt block notebook. On this occasion, I'm splitting the grid into an 8x8. And here I'm drawing in the flying geese. Now I'm marking out the centre design. And then I write in whether it's background fabric, fabric A or B. And then I write down what I need to cut from each fabric. If you'd like your own quilt block notebook, then please scan this code and it will take you to my Amazon page. You're going to need for this quilt block 4 2.5-inch squares in background fabric, 2 3 3/4 inch squares in background fabric, and 1 5 3/4 inch square in background fabric. In fabric A, you're going to need 4 3 1/4 inch squares, and in fabric B, you're going to need 1 3 3/4 inch squares. This block is made up of flying geese, identical split squares, and setting squares. We're going to start with the flying geese. For this, we're going to need the large square in the background fabric and the squares in fabric A. I'm going to draw a diagonal line on the wrong side of the fabric A squares. And these are going to be pinned in the corner of the large background fabric square. The diagonal line needs to run through the centre of the background square. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the line. The red line is the stitch line. Now we're going to cut along the drawn line. So we're going to set the seams with the iron, and then we're going to press towards the smaller triangles. Now we're going to place the final squares in the final corners. The diagonal line that you drew needs to intersect the two smaller triangles. And again you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam on both sides of the drawn line. The red line is the stitch line, and we're now going to cut along that drawn line. We're going to set the seams and then press towards the smaller triangle. Trimming the flying geese. I like to use the Ultimate Flying Geese tool by Deb Heatherly for creative grids. You can scan the QR code that will take you to my Amazon page for this. If you don't have a flying geese ruler, you can use a standard quilting ruler, and if you click on the link in the top right, it'll take you to my YouTube video on this. Using the flying geese ruler, you line the D line up against the apex of the triangle and cut along the top and the side, and then you rotate both the unit and the ruler around and trim again. Now we're going to make the identical split square units. For this you're going to need the background fabric and the fabric C squares. For this you need to line the 1/4 inch line on the ruler along the diagonal and then draw a line along the edge of the ruler. Then rotate the unit round and repeat. You will then have 2 drawn lines, a 1/4 inch away from the centre diagonal. Rotate the unit around and repeat. Now you've got 4 drawn lines on the back of your background fabric. Place this right sides together with your fabric B and pin in place. Now at the sewing machine you're going to sew on top of the line on the right hand side until you hit the centre. Then you're going to pivot until you hit the other line, pivot again and continue sewing down the block. You're then going to rotate the unit and again sew down on the right hand side until you hit the centre. Leaving the needle down, pivot and then continue sewing down the line. So now your stitched lines should look like the red lines on this diagram. Then you need to cut the unit in half across the diagonal. Now we're going to set the seams and then we're going to press towards the darker fabric. Taking your final background fabric pieces, you're going to cut these in half across the diagonal. And once you've done this, you have exposed the bias, so you need to be very careful so that you don't stretch those triangles. You're going to place them right sides together with your split triangles and sew along that long seam. Now we're going to set the seams and then press towards the triangle pieces. Trimming the identical split squares. Using a standard square ruler, line the diagonal line on the ruler along your seam, and then where the seams intersect for the smaller triangles, line that up at 1 1/4. Then cut up the right side and along the top. Twist the unit round and repeat. I like to use the Quilt in a Day triangle square up ruler. If you scan the QR code, it will take you to my Amazon shop. When you're using this, you lay the ruler on top of the stitch line, in this case using the 2.5 inch mark, and then you line the vertical line along your stitch line, and then you cut up and down the sides. Now the block layout. Begin by sewing the centre pieces together. You may want to watch my video on how to sew perfect points on your quilt blocks. Click the link in the top right hand of this screen to take you to that video. Sew the columns together and press the seams as shown with these arrows. Congratulations, you have made the 8-inch Pinwheel Star quilt block. Here are some quilt options. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block. There is no sashing or borders, but the use of the white background fabric in the block allows the design and fabrics to stand out. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block placed on point. There is no sashing or borders, but you would need to add blocks in background fabric in between the blocks, shown here with the stars. And add setting triangles around the edges, again shown here with the stars. This is an illustration of the quilt repeating the same block but with sashing, cornerstones and borders. And finally, this is an illustration of a sampler quilt using some of the blocks from this quilt block series. The sashing in this quilt is in the white background fabric. The cornerstones and border is in a darker fabric to pop and frame the quilt. Want to learn more? Watch another one of my videos from the quilt block series. Click above to go to my playlist. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel. More of these videos will be posted, so please tune in. Thank you for watching and bye for now.